Hello, hello, everybody. Before I play that awesome intro music like usual, I just want to give a little introduction to Jose. He was just spitting bars right when we first met in the meeting, just getting to know each other. I didn't know when to hit the record, so I just did a rough start. He properly introduces himself a couple minutes in. But yeah, this is going to be a really good eye-opening episode. He talks about his journey, this real estate tycoon that he is, and his journey from the different sectors and what it's done, and the risk of leverage as owner and entrepreneur, and so much more. I also looked into his audiobooks that he's going to talk about later on. Definitely something to look into if you want to just get his unabridged knowledge. I think a simple credit will do too. But other than that, like I said, let's play that intro music and hear Jose's story.
Welcome to the Josh Bolton Show, where we dive into interesting and inspiring conversations. And now, your host, Josh Bolton.
Somewhat.
So Jose,
Yes.
I
Go
have
ahead.
it. I have it recording. So let's do a proper introduction for you.
Sure. Do you want to start, or how do we go
It's
about?
usually I have you just tell your story kind of thing.
All right. All right. Well, it's great to be here. As I was mentioning, I am an entrepreneur. I'm an investor, real estate developer, builder. Now I'm a writer. I'm enjoying this new stage of my life where I'm finding it now important for me to move on to a different part of my life, which is to perhaps perhaps reflect on my business career by writing some of the experiences, anecdotes, some of the wisdom that I've acquired over the years in the business world. First of all, I started with my first book, but the Business of Homebuilding, which is an industry that that I find extremely interesting. I have a love-hate relationship with it because I invested close to 30 years of my life as a residential construction company. While I was doing other things, while I was engaging in other types of businesses and industries, but the bulk of my time over the last few decades has been devoted to building residential communities. So I wrote this book as cathartic, as a very important process for me to be able to tell the story as to how a business that I intended only being a part of for a year or two at the most, somehow I ended up being involved with for a few decades and still am. As a result, I ended up running, owning, and operating a number of real estate and construction companies. But the irony is that I never intended to do that. My initial interest, my aspirations, in my passion was more geared towards entrepreneurship, not necessarily home building. So the book that I wrote talks a lot about that industry, but it's truly an entrepreneurship guide, other than it's using the construction industry as the fundamental concept, but it talks about how to start a business, how to build a business, what are some of the different things that need to be thought of and planned before one it starts a company of any type, of any kind. And I enjoy that process quite a bit. That I moved on to more topics now, a little bit more broader. Now I completed a book called Dirt Rich, which is about land investing, land development, land speculating, and it's not really only about how to make money by investing in land, but how to honor our roots, how to understand how things happen in the world of investing from A to Z, how it
Mm.
is that our communities evolve, how it is that they're built by individuals, speculators, developers, selecting a piece of property, selecting the right piece of property for the right purpose. And this is how this multi-trillion dollar industry all begins, by selecting a piece of dirt to develop your dreams and your hopes and your business, and perhaps begin your career. So I talk a lot about the history of how this world of real estate began. And I think it's a fun book. I enjoyed talking about it. It's very provocative. It makes you think about land and real estate from a different perspective, so on and so forth. Now I'm on my third book, which is more about entrepreneurship and the mentality and the lifestyle, the life choices that an entrepreneur must take and make in order to succeed. So there it is. I've spent the last close to 40 years owning businesses.
Hmm.
I know I look young. I feel young in many aspects, but I started young. I started this career of entrepreneurship as a teenager, essentially. And one business led to another and another. And my obsessive compulsive personality and behavior never allowed me to stop. During good years, I was expanding. During bad years, I was trying to figure out how to get out of trouble and how to look for better and newer opportunities in multiple industries. And it has been a very, very interesting, exciting journey, but also a very tough, difficult, exhausting at times, where it was never boring. There were many, many, many times when I just couldn't find the will or the strength to keep going, when industries got difficult, when economic cycles were against me, where luck was not on my side, which it often happens to many entrepreneurs. We perceive things a little bit different when we start a business, although it is scary, but we always think that our plan is going to work the way that we intended for it to operate, and it rarely does. In the world of business, everything is very unpredictable. Everything is a surprise. Everything is confusing, and everything is challenging. There's competitors. There are too many people attempting the same businesses, whether they are a little bit different or not. So this world of entrepreneurship is not for everyone. And I often talk about how you must have the right personality, the right level of tolerance to pain, to stress, to pressure, to deadlines, having
Hmm.
your brain always on, having one of those personalities that never stops, that never has a moment for him or herself with clarity, because you are always overwhelmed with a longer list of things to do than any human can possibly get to. And that is one of the tricks of entrepreneurship, that you have to have that ability to multitask, and multitask successfully, and be able to be in multiple places physically and mentally at the same time in order for things to move forward, and be responsible for other people's activities, not just yours. The more your business grows, the more things depend less on your actions and more on collective efforts of everybody around you. And it becomes harder and harder to control everybody's activities. And for that, you need a vision, you need a mission, you need a clear message, you need an identity that you bring to the table as an entrepreneur, and clarity for everyone around you to understand what it is that you're trying to do and where are you heading with this business of yours. So all of those are things that entrepreneurs with experience understand, and the new ones will learn perhaps the hard way. So anyway, that is a brief interruption. I can obviously go on and on, but that's kind of where I've been spending the last few decades of my life.
That's interesting. No, that's really good. I like it. The biggest one I was curious about is you never mentioned any of the titles of your books. What were the books' titles?
Yes, yes. The first one is The Business of Home Building.
Okay.
Again, this is a one that it does not train or teach anyone how to build a house by any means. It talks about the business side of things. It teaches you and helps you how to build the business that builds homes or that builds anything else for that
Mhm.
matter. So that is the first book. And the second one is Dirt Rich.
Dirt rich.
That
Okay.
is the one that talks more about land speculating and land investing and land development. The third one we're that I'm working on is I won't disclose the name yet because it has not been finalized, but it's really about just about entrepreneurship, the mindset of an entrepreneur, and
Okay.
the mentality, the personality that it requires for you to succeed in the business world.
I'm just curious, do you have audiobooks for your books also?
I'm sorry?
Do you have audiobooks for the ones you mentioned, Dirt
Oh,
Rich and
yes, yes. Well,
cool.
Dirt Rich, it will be published in the next few weeks. But
Okay.
yes, for the business of home building, there are it's out there in the ebook version, and I'm hoping to also translate it soon in
Into
other
what language?
languages. But well, I suppose I will start with Spanish being my first language, and hopefully eventually it will go into other markets. But I essentially wrote that book as something that I needed to do personally, something that would help me move on to the next stage of my life, not necessarily to sell a lot of books, although I think that it is a helpful tool for anybody that's starting a business and that wants to understand the challenges, not just the success portion of this career, but the obstacles and the adversity that comes with it.
Yeah, no, it's the biggest thing as I've been doing this podcast for 2-ish years is that's the biggest one. People, like you said, there's a lot of people doing the same thing you're doing. So what's different kind of thing? There's a lot of people wanting your position and what are you going to do to keep it? It's true. It's a very special breed of person. You can learn it, but generally you kind of just need to have it kind of thing.
Yes, 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 because we confuse the meaning of building a business or the word entrepreneurship. Starting a business is one thing that is very, very challenging and very difficult. It's
Hmm.
dangerous, it's scary, it's speculative, but remaining in business, even if you don't grow, even less when you begin to expand your business, that's when most businesses fail, because that building a business, growing a business is the equivalent of starting a business and on steroids. It's the
Hmm.
moment when everything changes, the responsibilities, the process, the concept, the team, the obligations that every member need to bring into the equation in order for things to move. You're inventing things as you go. You're creating things as you go. You're coming up of nonstop with better ways of ensuring that your business is going in the right direction. And you need to not only be very effective, very precise, very intense, but also you need to be very open-minded. You need to know that you may need to pivot and make changes that perhaps are things that are not working. And a lot of entrepreneurs happen to be very, very stubborn. They want things to work one way or the highway, as they say. If there's not their way, if it's not the way that they envision things, and they start getting discouraged without realizing that, no, what I want is for my business to succeed, not for my ego to succeed. And removing that arrogance and removing the ego from any business transaction and from the growth of any business is important. And not every entrepreneurship has the ability to leave that at the front door and be able to listen to others and have conviction about what you're doing, but also an open mind to be able to be flexible when things start getting difficult and when the need of new ideas and new concepts are required for your business to expand. So it's easier said than done, and of course there are different business models. Some that are very intensive in the growth sector, Some of them are not. Some of them are more regional or local or very specific, attending one niche of a sector in the service industry or one product. But there are others that can grow very fast, and you have to be prepared for it. So bringing in understanding the business model that you choose is very, very important for you to accomplish the outcome that you anticipate. There are many, many ways to go about it in the business world.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. The one joke I always tell people, there's a million ways to the top of the mountain, but not all are the best. So the one thing I've been thinking about
Exactly.
as you, thank you. The one thing I've been thinking about for you as you've been talking, and you mentioned you've been in this game for about 30 to 40 years. So you've seen a few downturns of the market. How did you adapt and learn and grow from those downturns? Because especially I know in '08 and then 2020 was a unique special too. That was a that was unexpected kind of thing.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I've been through some horrible times and terrible cycles in not just in real estate, but in every business that I've been in. I don't know if it's been luck or destiny or by choice, but the businesses that I've been more deeply involved in have been very, very cyclical and very speculative, starting with the energy business where I began my career, where I was dealing with commodities in the petrochemical industry, building petrochemical plants for companies that had ups and downs. In one year, we had um, plans to build a few plants, and there was expansion, and so you had to hire people and train people and invest, and all of a sudden they turn off the switch, and you have to figure out what to do with the infrastructure that you created. Nothing that you did wrong, but it's just something you have to deal with. Commodities, petroleum and other resources change. Their values change, they fluctuate, and businesses have to figure out how to deal with those. And if you're not a public company with deep pockets, it's an extremely difficult thing to handle. It happened to me. Unfortunately, I won't get into every business example, and I will not call them failures. They were experiences in which the business did not get to where it needed to
Yeah.
the level that it needed to reach for one reason or another. Let's call them these downturns and economic changes. But I had several in when those happen, it's a very terrifying experience because all of a sudden your income goes away, the the circumstances change, but your overhead is still there, your expenses, your investment, your life, the amount of time and in number of years that you've invested and devoted to this project, all of a sudden look like they're about to fall apart. And it's not like having a job that, yeah, it's scary, but tomorrow you can go and find another one. Starting and building a business is not something that happens overnight. It may take you another decade before you're able to build another one successfully, and 10,000 or 10 million headaches before you get there. So it's a petrifying experience when something goes wrong. And at that point, well, it depends on the type of industry, depends on the level. Unfortunately, when I've been through these experiences, these bad cycles, I was also caught by another ingredient that was terrifying, which was leverage. We were talking about growth. I happen to have been in bad economic cycles, operating and building a business. While it happened, I was highly leveraged. Meaning I had borrowed a lot of money to go to experience the growth, to be able to achieve the growth. And when the economy changes and those cycles turn, and it catches you in a growing mode, it can kill you overnight because all of a sudden your income goes to nothing while you're having to sustain a humongous debt, carrying costs, and a world of other expenses that your company has to carry. And at that point, it truly becomes mind over matter. Your mind needs to start processing these issues one at a time and just focusing on surviving. There were many, many days, let's skip several experiences and go to the real estate business where at some point we had an endless amount of inventory, homes for sale, land being developed. We had loans with 30 plus institutions, banks, lenders, investors, multi-million-dollar operation with hundreds of contractors working simultaneously, and all of a sudden everything came crashing down on us. In processing it, understanding what's happening was very difficult. Just coming to terms with a new reality where now your new task was not to grow and was not to make money. It was trying to figure out how to get out of trouble and how to begin this process of decompression and destroying in pieces what took you decades to build. And this is very demoralizing. This is very, very difficult to process. It's depressing. And these are moments in time in someone's career as an entrepreneur where you must find so much strength within you to just get up in the morning and deal with these things. When these are moments when all you want is to run away and hide and not have to deal with all of the problems that are coming your way, the demands that are coming your way. And I remember those every morning struggling to just get up and figuring out how to deal with a situation, how to move things around, how to negotiate with banks. All of a sudden, all of the time you were devoting and building a business and creating systems and procedures and dealing with a growing mouth, now you're devoting it to putting out fires. Your activities completely change overnight. Now it is how to pacify everyone that you owe money and how to gain time to just live to see another day and deal one day at a time, managing things. And the one of the lessons that I've learned and that I give to new entrepreneurships is to manage leverage, to understand that growth needs to be gradual unless you have deep pockets behind you that are supporting that growth. But if you're doing it the way I did it, by leverage and without much outside capital, it's very risky, and you have to pace yourself. You have to do it slowly, and you have to understand that when things start doing well, you need to begin to put money aside, because we tend to think that business is going to continue doing well forever and ever. We're just creatures of habit and creatures of simple mentality and psychology, where we feel that when things are doing well, we get greedy, and when things are going bad, we fear circumstances, but there's never a middle of the road. And we need to find that middle of the road. Even when things are doing well, we need to figure out how to put money aside. Thankfully, we did in most of our companies. Part of the mission was to build reserves and build resources and not reinvest everything, or well, let's call it not spend everything. We would definitely reinvest in growth, but we would always have reserves. And those reserves helped us survive those difficult years. So your activities need to change when an economic environment occurs. And believe it or not, they happen to many, many industries, more than what people think. Whenever there is uncertainty, economic uncertainty, now that information is globalized, and now we know what's happening in the Middle East, we know what's happening in Asia, we know what's happening in South America. If there's a war that breaks out, if there's an economic issues in another side of the world, if there is some uncertainty, business owners and investors tend to get a little bit concerned. People buying homes, people buying goods and services, people going out And all of a sudden, business owners begin to suffer. Some of them don't even know what's happening or why their sales are slowing down. And they need to keep up with information and understand that even if you own a little mom and pop shop, uh, anything can affect it. A new competitor, currency exchanges, economic changes, elections, interest rates, the environment of the media that might be feeding us with something negative at any particular time, which is what the consumer index reflects. If consumer confidence drops, our business may drop. And all of us as entrepreneurs need to understand that things can change overnight and that we need to be prepared for it. Hopefully they won't, as they say. Uh, Hope for the best and prepare for the worst. And that's the way that businesses need to be ran. The more I stay in business, the longer I am, the more cautious I become, because now I know that things do happen. And the younger, the newer entrepreneurs are perhaps too optimistic. It's great to be positive. It's wonderful to have a positive outlook in your business and in the future and in the economy. But it's also smart to know and to understand and agree with the fact that those good times may not last forever. And bad years and bad cycles do occur. Once you experience a few of them, you begin to become a little bit more skeptical, perhaps just cautious and careful in the way that you approach each decision.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's I'm working for a young company right now, and they're growing like crazy, and that's where I keep telling them, I'm like, hey, you need to set something aside or like delegate more. But they're like, oh, it's just Josh,
Yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
whatever. And I think so. It's interesting to see the guy I am working for, his business taking off in a season when it normally doesn't take off. So he's like, this is great. I'm like, well, let's see what next year does, kind of thing.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And of course, every business and every industry is different. That there are some exceptions, perhaps, and even those are difficult. But whenever you invent a new way of doing something, a new concept, a new product, you want to move fast because copycats will be out there very soon trying to duplicate what you're doing. And you want to gain as much market and as much credibility and a brand as possible. There are some exceptions where time is of the essence and you need to grow and expand. But even those, they need to be done carefully and they need to be done with a plan of attack. So yes, there's the growth is a double-edged sword, and it is something that needs to be well thought of according to your industry and according to what it is that you do, so that you can better prepare for it.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's a big one I talk with the owner about. I'm like, your industry that he's in, I'm like, it's generally safe, but there are going to be seasons where it's like a boom and bust kind of thing. But yeah,
Yeah.
he's kind of listening to me. He's very stubborn, has to control everything. And I get that too, but it's like, dude, it's also good to listen to some outsiders. Not all of them, but some where they actually have your interest in mind. So,
Well,
um,
some leaders, entrepreneurs, find it hard to listen to other people's advice, and I don't blame them.
right.
This is another irony that having that perfect middle of the road where you're not too stubborn, where you're not so square-minded as an entrepreneur and so obsessed with your reality, but at the same time, um, you stay your ground and you follow your mission and you don't change your model just because everybody's giving you opinions, because it is easier for outsiders to find solutions to problems. By nature, it is always easier for us to fix someone else's problem because we don't bear the consequences of the outcome. So as an entrepreneur, you will always hear everybody telling you how to fix problems and how to find these solutions and how to improve and how to grow and how to expand and how to make more money. But they don't have your business as their as their in priority. It's not their livelihood So you need to mix and match pieces of information. You need to be open-minded. Listen carefully, pay attention to different opinions from the people that you care about and that you respect. And
Hmm.
something I always say, listen to opinions from people who have done it, who have been there and done that. Not fully, because not everybody has gone through your journey or dealt with your precise examples of businesses and activities, but they've traveled the difficult journey of building a business. I hate to listen to people who have never done it. It's very easy for everyone to tell you how to improve your operation when they've never done it before.
Right.
So be careful to who you listen to. So and then come up with your own conclusions. Create your own dish, your own salad of information, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and make your decision. Don't operate based on somebody else's decision, because if you fail and you didn't follow your gut instinct, it's going to hurt a lot more than when
Absolutely.
you fail based on your own decisions.
Oh yeah. Jose, the meeting's about to end. So before the meeting cuts off, is there anything you want people to know or go to?
No, no, no. Visit me at joseberlanga.com. It's been an incredible journey. I always recommend this young generation, this new generation, to not wait too long before you find what it is that you like doing. And my recommendation is don't get in business just because you want to make money. You have to get into an industry because you like the industry, because there's an interest,
Mhm.
a deeper interest in just making money, but at the same time, find something that you happen to be good at, because that way you have much better chances of succeeding. If you like the business and you're good at it, when you combine those two, that's the right formula for improving your potential, improving your chances of success.
Wonderful. I love it. Thank you, Jose. This has been honestly an eye-opening conversation with just the information you were just giving me. Truly appreciate it.
Thank you, Josh. It's great being here, great talking to you, and hope we can do it again soon.
Definitely.
Well, congratulations. You made it to the end. You're a awesome person. Not many make it here. So, being the awesome person that you are, can you do me one more awesome favor? Can you rate and review this on whatever podcast services you're using? If you do it on Apple and you leave an actual written review, I have a thing on my website. I will take your written review and post it for all to see. Congratulations, you're permanently sealed on my site. Otherwise, I am trying to do YouTube more and live streaming. I will try to put as many of the YouTube links in the description of the show as I can. So give your boy some extra help over on YouTube. Watch my videos. I just mute it and change the channel, change the window or something. But yeah, that's it. Thank you for being awesome, and see you next time.